Hi, I'm Patrick, and this is Eric. Together, we just got played. We're at the Cloak and Blaster once again on a Tuesday night. We just got done playing Chrono Corsairs by TMG. Travel back in time with us, I guess, to a land of pirates and tickle fights.
There were lots of those.
Eric,
Yes?
tell us a little bit about Chrono Corsairs. Don't go into too much depth because I want it to be a little bit of a surprise for the people buying
All right, so a full game explanation.
Yes.
Here we
Down to
go.
every syllable.
So Chrono Corsairs, if I had to summarize sort of the game mechanisms to it, because we already know that it is a time-traveling pirate game, the core mechanisms of the game, or kind of your win conditions, are area control and a little bit of action programming. The idea is that on your turn you have some of these cards, you'll have several different cards in your hand, and you will pick one of these cards, everybody will pick them simultaneously, and you'll reveal them and you will place them on your player board somewhere. And after everybody's done those things, and what these do is they modify your actions for one of the given rounds, you go through this time track and you go through morning, day, dawn, and night, or I got all those mixed up, but whatever. There's 4 parts of the day that you go through, and each of those days, or each of the parts of the day has an action associated on the board that lets you move pieces around the board, and everybody starts here in the water, and you can kind of go to beach areas, you've got wooded areas, you've got volcanoes, you've even got these cool little central locations. They're called caves, I think. That's what they called them. And at the end of the round, after everybody's done all their movements, you check for area control. Whoever's got the most gets rewards based on where they're standing, and you do that until this track runs out, and at the end of the game, who's got the most points wins.
I think that's a very fair synopsis. The only thing I might add to that is part of moving your guys around is you only have 2 captains per team, and your dudes can only move with your captain. Now, you can leave them behind, but if you leave a cluster behind and you move your captain, for example, all those guys are trapped. They can't move again until you get a captain back on their spot.
Correct.
So that's one of the limitations of the game, and kind of an important part of the game if you're trying to do well, which I didn't. Eric, if you could find one thing that you liked very much about this game, it would be?
So kind of going off of yet another thing that I forgot to mention is you've got these sort of time event cards that come out. And the thing that I like about the game is that these exist. I like when games have those because it increases replayability in the game. The board is modular. You've got this deck of events that at the end of a phase or during this phase of the game, something happens that's different than before. I like that when games have it because it reduces the sameness in games. And if you're going to play a game a couple of times, having something where it shakes the game up a bit is really cool.
I agree. And if there's one thing that I like about it the most is you mentioned those tiles that change every single time you play the game. Those tiles have absolutely beautiful artwork. This board is absolutely gorgeous. They've got tons and tons of little meeples. So these little pirate meeples are kind of cute. You've got guys with do-rags on their heads or a 3-point hat that designates them as captain. I think the aesthetic of the game board and the game is really what I like the most about it. I think, like you said earlier, if someone walks by and sees this game at a convention, they're going to give it a second look. It's attractive.
It is.
And if there's one thing I like the least about it, which you kind of touched on too, and let me touch more on yours before
please do.
I go any further. That's like a fine line that it's very difficult, I think, to cross. A game that has lots of replayability and does that through random actions, eventually you're going to have a player or two that just get screwed out of random crap. Eventually. But it's a trade-off, right? If you're going to have a lot of replayability in a game that's got a lot of randomness, eventually there's going to be a certain combination of things where somebody just kind of stumbles around and loses a turn or two, which everyone knows is absolutely horrible and terrible, and no one wants to do that.
Yeah, no, that happened in our game. The last round of the game, because the event came out and it changed it so that way we didn't start in the morning, we actually started in the middle of the day. We ended up losing actions there as well because of the way that we only had beach and forest adjacent to the harbor instead of having 3 different land types. and it limited the ability to bring people in because you always start back in the harbor, and that the kind of bit.
I can agree with that. That kind of stuff doesn't usually bother me too much in games. I don't mind, as long as I get to do something that turn, I don't mind losing a turn. I play the game for the experience, which leads me to the thing I chose to dislike. It's the thing I liked the least, not necessarily disliked, but the thing I liked the least was I wanted to be a time-traveling pirate, and I thought Chrono Corsairs was it. I thought I was going to go through and re-experience the same day over again to be able to make more intelligent changes. I don't know, like maybe even a bad example is Timeline, but you get to do that with the game Timeline. You get to go in and have an experience and then change the way you did that path. This just was an interesting reset mechanism for a action selection game. It wasn't necessarily, or in a area control game. It wasn't necessarily, I didn't feel like a time-traveling pirate. I barely felt like a pirate, and I even dressed up for it.
Yeah. You should have kept the costume on.
Yeah.
It would have been great for the camera.
Well, I was disappointed, so I disrobed during the course of the game.
Fair enough.
But this is Chrono Corsairs by TMG. I am Patrick. That is Eric. This is the Cloak and Blaster. Thank you very, very much. Left-handed drinking. Thank you very, very much for watching. And next time that you're in town or around, come by and play with us on a Tuesday.
Heck yeah, do it. I wish I had a Lieutenant Dan piece, like you did, the legless captain.
You can customize your piece as much as you want. You could give him a hook, or you could use one of those little things you screw in the walls that have a little hook on it.
Oh yeah,
you could just screw it right in your
That'd be great.
It'd
be you could pick them up and move them too. That way, it'd be great.
Are you moving around? We didn't make one semen joke. Brian would be so.
I would be so disappointed.